Coming up on Around San Diego, we are learning more about the circumstances surrounding a plane that was forced to make an emergency landing on a San Diego freeway, why one of the passengers is facing charges. And California is now the first state to ban sell-by dates on food packaging. Those details also ahead. Plus, hundreds of bees attacked a number of people at a park in Scripps Ranch. We speak with two of the victims who share their horrible experience. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day. I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news and look ahead in less than 30 minutes. We begin with that emergency landing in Oceanside, and one of the men inside of that airplane right on State Route 76 has been charged in federal court with drug possession. Police say they found more than 2 pounds of cocaine right there at the scene. As CBS 8's David Godfredson reports, at this point, the pilot of the plane is not facing any charges.
Oceanside resident Troy Smith arrived at the San Diego federal court Tuesday afternoon with his girlfriend. The 36-year-old, wearing a blue suit, was seen shaking hands with his attorney outside court before he entered the courthouse for his first appearance on charges of possession of more than 2 pounds of cocaine. Smith is accused of hiding the cocaine in a backpack on a plane that took off from Mesa, Arizona on September 26th. The pilot of the plane was a 21-year-old flight instructor who radioed he was having engine trouble and then made an emergency landing on State Route 76 near Canyon Drive, less than a mile from the Oceanside airport. No one was hurt during the landing, but an Oceanside police assistant chief said at the scene, investigators noticed something suspicious.
During the investigation, they observed one of the individuals discard a backpack into nearby brush, which obviously raised concern to one of the officers.
Inside the backpack, police say they found a kilo of cocaine. Both men were arrested at the scene and later bailed out. Now, nearly 2 weeks later, only Smith is facing charges, which carry a maximum of 20 years in prison and a $1 million fine. The 21-year-old flight instructor has not been charged.
I can speak as a former narcotics officer, and I can tell you that it doesn't surprise me. I think we have narcotics coming into our country in various ways. I think the surprising part is the emergency landing and how we came across it.
According to the complaint, federal agents were already investigating Smith for allegedly mailing 4 packages containing cocaine from the North County to North Carolina in 2023 and 2024. So far, Smith has not been charged in those other incidents. Smith will remain out of custody on $20,000 bond. His next court appearance for a preliminary hearing is set for October 31st. At the downtown federal courthouse, David Godfredson, CBS 8.
David, thank you. Well, local and state leaders are unveiling new legislation they say will help better prepare city governments to handle big storms and flooding. Assemblymember David Alvarez authored 2 bills recently signed by Governor Newsom. He says the measures will help get rid of roadblocks and red tape to allow city crews to get maintenance work done faster.
The streamlining process so that we reduce years worth of permitting and waiting and going back and forth to now hopefully months at maximum so that the work can get started as soon as possible.
The city of San Diego says it has cleaned 18 miles of storm channels since major flooding back in January. People who are still struggling to rebuild their lives since say, while it's a good step in the right direction, many families are frustrated with the city's response and assistance. Well, a San Diego County supervisor plans to bypass the rest of the board and seek funding to tackle the South Bay sewage crisis. Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer says she's teaming up with other elected officials after the board voted to delay any formal decision. Lawson-Remer says they will be submitting an immediate petition to the EPA requesting a Superfund designation that would provide federal funding for the cleanup. Meantime, the Board of Supervisors is supporting a plan to provide more air purifiers to people in the South Bay affected by sewage odors. They voted in favor of purchasing thousands of air purifiers. They say that San Diego Air Pollution Control District will then distribute those devices, which will cost about $2.7 million. The California Air Resources Board will reimburse that money. Board Chair Nora Vargas says the goal is to hand out 10,000 of those air purifiers. And San Diego leaders and law enforcement are teaming up with Crime Stoppers to offer $2,000 for any tips about unsolved hate crimes that lead to an arrest.
No community in San Diego County should be subjected to hate, whether it's targeting somebody for the color of their skin, the religion they believe in, or the person that they decide to love.
Yeah, so it's part of a new Crime Stoppers hate crime fund, which was established following a rise in hate crimes across our city. San Diego police have also created a new hate crime unit. Last year, the district attorney's office prosecuted 30 hate crime cases. Of those, 20 were race-based and 7 targeted the LGBTQ+ community. Now, this comes as Oceanside police are looking into a recent series of attacks targeting unhoused people. Since September 18th, police say that 2 people have been found dead, both with blunt force trauma, and 1 other person was stabbed but survived the attack. Police say that they happened all within about 1.5 miles of each other. Right now, there is no suspect information, and it's unknown if the incidents are connected. Police have increased their patrols throughout the city where there are a large number of people experiencing homelessness. And San Diego County is investigating its first case of locally acquired dengue virus. It was reported in Escondido. It can take up to 7 days to start feeling symptoms of dengue. They include fever, chills, aches, pains, and vomiting. The county's vector control program began spraying for mosquitoes at nearly 200 homes in Escondido this past weekend. For more on the steps that you can take to protect yourself, your own home, just head to CBS8.com. Well, California is now the first state to ban sell-by dates on food packaging. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill that will make packaged food expiration dates more clear to consumers. Starting July 2026, best if used by and used by will be the only labels allowed to represent food quality and safety. The law is meant to help reduce food waste and clear up confusion about those expiration dates.
I do think sell-by dates are confusing. I think maybe best if used by dates would be a little bit clearer.
Yeah, it is kind of confusing, and it should be at least tell us more clearly what date it's going to expire.
Yeah, so best if used by indicates an item's peak quality date, and used by represents a date for product safety. Voters also now have a chance to hear from the 2 candidates running to lead the 51st Congressional District. Incumbent Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, a Democrat, went head-to-head with the Republican mayor of El Cajon, Bill Wells. They talked about homelessness, abortion, the economy, and the border.
The way to get a more orderly and humane process at the border is to expand the legal pathways that we have. We haven't had real immigration reform since before I was born, and I am young, but I'm not that young.
We need to go back to the policies where if you wanted to come from another country, you go to the country next door to you, you apply for asylum, you get a court date, and you go through the process.
Yeah, so during the primary, Sarah Jacobs got 57% of the vote and Bill Wells got 39%. The 51st District represents Central and Eastern San Diego, as well as the cities of El Cajon, La Mesa, and Lemon Grove. Now, if you couldn't catch the forum live, you can still watch the entire debate on our free streaming platform, CBS 8+. It's available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Well, bees have taken over a Scripps Ranch park, leaving a couple of people with more than 100 stings, all within a matter of minutes. I visited that park this week and spoke with 2 of those victims. A portion of Fairbrook Park is now closed off with warning signs saying bees are in the area. Now, the hive has since been removed, but you can tell there are still a lot of stragglers who seem to have really taken over this area. Both families were kind enough to share their stories with me.
I start to see all the bees, like maybe 300, 400 on top of her.
A chaotic and concerning scene at Fairbrook Park in Scripps Ranch Tuesday evening.
Oh my God, do I need to call 911?
We spoke with this woman who remarkably is home from the hospital and now resting on the couch.
My son, he keeps saying, I'm going to die today. I'm like, I never think. He's 4 years old.
They are all teary and traumatized after a routine day at the park ended with Grandma on the ground. She had never been stung before when all of a sudden a swarm of bees covered her from head to toe. More than 100 stingers pulled from her scalp, face, and neck alone. She tells me she's glad it was her and not her grandbabies. The victim's daughter, who was also stung, helped translate her Hebrew.
She's in trauma. Like, she keeps seeing them and hear them, and she cannot sleep, and she's worried.
She described herself as a human hive, bees in her ears, nose, even mouth. She nearly went into shock and will still be on medication for another week.
Anybody from 0 to 100 years old should be in a situation like this.
That's why the family is taking legal action against the pest control company Cartwright and possibly the city of San Diego, claiming negligence for the way the hive was removed. I reached out for comment but have not heard back. Here's the president of the Scripps Ranch Civic Association.
The beehive guy unconfirmed report that he fled and left, and he didn't call 911, he didn't render aid.
Val Catanzarite was also at the park that day with his granddaughter.
I heard a lady screaming. Looked back, and there was a lady laying on the ground just literally covered with bees.
He happens to be a doctor and ran toward the danger that day. As he tried to help a stranger in need, he was also stung more than 100 times and also had to be taken to the emergency department.
There were bees just all over the place.
And we all know bees are critically important to our planet, but can all agree at a safe distance. I'm told these were Africanized honeybees, which tend to be more aggressive than the European honeybee. We're reporting tonight from Scripps Ranch. Jenny Day, CBS 8.
Yes, sincerely glad they're all recovering. Coming up, repairs are underway on the Oceanside Pier after a fire destroyed parts of it earlier this year. We'll share a closer look next. Construction officially started on the Oceanside Pier this week after a destructive fire broke out 6 months ago now. The city says crews will build a subfloor under the damaged part of the pier so that it can catch any debris that may fall, making sure the ocean and marine life are protected. Next week, crews will then start tearing down the old Ruby's Diner building that was also damaged in the fire. We're told people will still have access to the pier during construction.
We don't plan on closing the pier down for any length of time. If we have to close it for any reason, it'll probably just be an hour or two. The idea is to keep the pier open for the use and enjoyment of the public.
Yeah, the timeline for repairs could take 2 to 3 years and cost around $20 million. Also this week, county officials showed support for working Latina women at the Mana de San Diego conference. It's an organization that advocates for Latina women. The event highlighted the progress that's been made in the community, but also the challenges Latinas still face. Executive Director Inez Perez-Chica says that over the past decade, there has been a dramatic increase of Latinas earning their bachelor's degrees and preparing for better paid employment, but they still deal with a large pay gap.
It's very frustrating to see that even though we have seen progress, it's not enough, and I might not see the progress I want to see in my lifetime, and that is very frustrating. And so this is why we're coming together and being louder.
Yeah, right now, only 3% of Hispanic women hold a managerial position. Mana's also highlighted the need for affordable housing and childcare in the Latina community as well. Still ahead, have you ever wondered where your recycling goes once you put it in that bin? We'll have a closer look in an Earth 8 report. Well, we have covered many stories about recycling in our Earth 8 reports, and we learn more and more every time. So we decided it was time to really get into the dirty details of what happens with your trash. CBS 8's Neda Iranpour recently went on a ride-along with the city's trash service, and she shares what she found out in this Earth 8 report.
To understand recycling, we thought we should get in the trucks and go with the drivers who are tasked with doing the hard work. So we hopped in with sanitation driver Jared Nunez. First thing, we had to know what his pet peeves are.
When the cans are overflowing, a lot of times it makes a mess.
So don't be that household. Be sure the lid closes. If not, your trash and recyclables could go flying, and someone like Jared will have to try to chase it all down.
We got, around 2,000 stops a day. If it's already out, ready for us to grab, it makes it easier, makes everything go smoother.
When Jared's truck gets full, he brings it here to Allen Company Recycling Center. This is one of the recycling centers the city of San Diego relies on to sort out materials so they can then sell them to whoever will buy and recycle them. First, as GM Gary McGrath shows us, the load leveler smooths out the large loads.
When it first comes over, there's a glass breaker, takes out all the glass. Then the material goes up and over, and it gets separated. Large pieces go up over to the left.
An optical machine helps sort. Then a magnetic pad.
At the very end, the manual is sorting. They're sorting out the milk jugs from the detergent bottles, from the aluminum cans.
But these guys right here, what are they doing?
They're sorting out the trash.
I want you to take a close look at this entire operation. These are people who are going through your trash to determine what should and should not continue through these conveyor belts. Every time you throw away a piece of plastic like this, they have to pick these out individually. And if there are too many, it clogs things up and they all have to stop.
Other items that are not okay to put in your blue bin: pipes, wood, pots and pans, electric wiring, and clothes. But the worst thing you can do, attempt to recycle lithium-ion batteries.
As soon as they get compacted, they burst into flames.
Laptop and cell phone batteries are exploding at recycling centers and on trucks nationwide.
And you've had fires here, too, because of it?
We've had fires here because of it.
Same goes for propane tanks. Workers are not only in loud, dirty conditions, but now their lives can be put in danger due to people's wish cycling habits.
It's really important to try to limit the amount of contamination that ends up going into your blue bin. In general, if you're in doubt, it's best to just throw it out.
When it comes to plastic, the harder plastics have the best shot at making it. Plastic loses quality when melted down.
If you can crinkle it into your palm or it doesn't hold its shape, you want to put that in your trash bin.
And if you grab that laundry detergent because you like the bright orange or blue hues, know that now someone has to make sure it's stacked with other plastics of the same color. So clear is best. Glass and aluminum can be recycled over and over again.
Aluminum is actually one of the best materials out there because it can be infinitely recycled.
And you'll notice all this cardboard. Simply break down those boxes at home and they'll have a good chance at being recycled too. The goal here is to lessen the load at landfills and give old, used materials the chance to become new again. For Earth 8, I'm Neda Iranpour.
Yeah, let's do our part for our beautiful planet. We do have a list of the do's and don'ts from the city on our website, cbs8.com. That will do it for us. Thank you for staying informed. I'm Jenny Day. Take good care.